This Asian dude is top-level assassin. We see him entering a room, shirtless. The security has confiscated his weapon so that he doesn't try anything funny. With just a paper, he can shape it into a pointy object. After doing a quick Asian ninja-looking move, he successfully finishes his mission. And his target this time is none other than Frank, a former CIA agent who is enjoying his retirement with his new wife, Sarah. Marvin then shows up and informs him that there is someone out there that wants to whack them. Frank says that he is delusional, and then tells him to leave them alone. After leaving the supermarket, Frank sees Marvin's car blow up in front of their eye. At the funeral, Frank looks Marvin's coffin but doubt that he is truly as playing dead as his specialty. So he tests it with a needle. Turn out, he is truly dead. Although Frank knew it, he still won't accept the death of his comrade. The guy finally shed tears while delivering a eulogy. Finishing the funeral, it is not long until he is confronted by 3 government agents. To ensure Sarah's safety, he agrees to go with them. The government agents interrogate Frank at an FBI Yankee White facility. Then, corrupt agent, Jack Horton and a team of private military contractors ambush the facility. During the interrogation, Jack appears, killing most of the facility's personnel. He wants Frank to give him the information he needs, but Frank doesn't know what they want. However, the Jack did not buy this. He threatens to torture Sarah until Frank gives him the information he needs. Frank got mad. He break the desk with his bald head, then beat the shit out the agent nearby. He got hold of one guy to use him as bait while heading out. Luckily, he evaded the shot. Being zoned into a corner, an agent was about to finish him off, but suddenly, Marvin risen from the dead to rescue Frank. The two quickly escape, and then goes on the run with Sarah. To find out what is going on, they go and find a high-ranking officer to interrogate. He reveals Marvin and Frank were being hunted down because they were listed as participants in a secret operation codenamed Nightshade. The operation was conducted in the Cold War in order to smuggle a nuclear weapon into Russia piece by piece. He also reveals that there is a scientist created the nuclear weapon on the operation that died. The weapon then has been disappeared for 30 years. But the other day, there is someone posted on the internet that Frank and Marvin used to participate in the operation. Because that weapon is something that every government want, they became a prime target. If the US can't have it, nobody can. Frank and Marvin have to quickly track down the guy who does this. Who is Guy, and what is his purpose? Frank then remembers about one guy. His nickname is the Frog. He used to kill many people with deadly chemical substance. The group found out his location is in France. He gets geared up and flies to France. At the time, an agent is looking for Victoria. Turn out, the MI6 also wants to whack Marvin and Frank as well. But he didn't know that Victoria and Frank are old friends. She called Frank to inform him about the MI6 hunting him while pouring acid into the bathtub. The Asian dude that the CIA hires is Han. He is the guy that assassinates the old man earlier in the firm with a paper. The security watching doesn't even know that his boss is dead. Then he receives another phone call. This time, the target is Frank. He board on his private jet then arrive at a hotel that Frank stayed. But when he got there, the room is empty. His jet even got stolen by Frank. Feeling a little bit butthurt, he swore vengeance because Frank stole his toy. While Frank and Sarah here are enjoying themselves a free trip to France. But after arriving, a group mafia-looking dudes greeted them. A woman suddenly appear and kiss Frank out of nowhere. Sarah just stands there, completely in shock like, "What the F, bro?" Turn out, it is Frank XGF. She is a Russian secret agent named Katya Petrovich. If Frank wants to find the frog, he will need Katya help. Sarah obviously got upset by this, while Frank say it must be done. With her help, they found the frog in a restaurant. But he is very self-aware, quickly throw a knife to Sarah's face. Luckily, Frank is there. The frog then pulls out his gun and starts shooting to create a chaotic scene. He stole a bike then quickly got away. Katya arrived just in time to pick Frank up. The two chase after the frog to whoop his ass. Then Sarah wants a bit of action, start joining with Marvin on a wild goose chase. But in the end, they crash into a new paper shop. Sarah continued to chase after the frog in a small alley then got stuck. Frog shows a peace sign to piss them off. Unfortunately for him, Frank got there just in time and knocks the shit out of him. Seeing Katya share a good laugh with Frank makes Sarah's simping blood boil. The gang then pulls the Frank to his house and start interrogating him. They tried many methods, but none work on him. Even smashing his favorite bottle couldn't make him talk. Then, Sarah has a great idea. She decided to put her girl trap skill to the test. The frog, feeling a woman touch for the first time, got a little bit horny, then gave her the key. Sarah won over Katya this time. That night, Katya pays Frank a visit, asking him out for dinner. Frank take a toss with Katya then pass away. Frank didn't realize that Katya's loyalty is to the Russian government, so a nuclear device is obviously what they would want too. She took the device key with her. After being brought back to the hotel, witnessing Frank is unconscious, Sarah slap him then swear at him to wake him. "Wake up, weasel, where is the key?" Luckily for them, Marvin, being the smartest guy in the group, has swapped the key before it got stole. Frank and Marvin on their way to the bank suddenly got ambushed. It is Han with his Gatling gun. He opened fire wildly, causing the Frank and Marvin to crawling for their life. She shouted, "Where is my jet, bitch?" At that moment, Marvin remembers he has a grenade. He blows up a car, then the two escapes through the sewer. Finally, they arrive at the bank. Immediately, Katya got arrested because of the key. The three retrieves the safe, then investigate the file inside. They found out he is hiding in England. On their way, they saw Victoria walk out on the main road, geared to the teeth. She blows up their car to make a fake evident for her boss, then joining them in the process. She disguises herself as a crazy woman, then knock out the doctor there. She again disguises as a doctor to further infiltrate the facility. They open a secret. Inside, there is full of equation written around the room, and also an old man. It is the guy that invented the nuclear device during Operation Nightshade. His name is Edward Bailey. Not only he is alive, but also being held captive by the British. Seeing the guy as a nut job, Victoria electrocutes him so that Frank to take him. Victoria is captured behind during this. Frank travels with Edward to Russia as his claim the weapon is kept here. On their way, they got intercepted by the Asian boy again. The Russian police also got their time. Frank used his opportunity and tied Han up. The group then stands in front of the Kremlin, who knew that the most deadly weapon on Earth is hidden right at the Russian capital. During the Cold War, they dig a tunnel underground under the Edward command. Finally, under the tunnel, they reach the device's location. It is still inactive after 30 years. Evan thought it looks like a couple of small tubes, but it is actually more deadly than a dozen of nuclear bomb. After retrieving the device, the Russian along Katya arrived to confiscate the weapon. But Frank tries to use his charming bald head to convince Katya to switch side. Katya then softens, she agrees to join Frank. Damn, that was fast. They hide in an abandoned house. Marvin was about to eat a cake, but Sarah thinks it is out of date. Marvin then replied, "Honey, this is made before expiry date was even invented." Frank receives a call from Victoria. She then reveals everything to Frank. Edward is actually a rat that wants the device for himself. He is a nut job, don't trust him. Frank after hearing that, and there Edward was, pointing a gun at him. Edward explains that year, to get the device, the government not only locks him up for 32 years, but also murders his family. He created this plan to pay back the US for what they done. He threatens Frank while taking the device with him. Then, the agent from the US shows up to pick the processor up. Edward suddenly shoots Katya, killing her on the spot, blaming them for the crime. The Russian quickly shows up, but Victoria is there to back them up. They flew to Iran to found the device. Turn out, Edward want to start World War III by nuking London then blaming Iran. The group quickly assembled to stop Edward. Over here, Edward is spreading poison chemical everywhere to knock out the guard. All the members on the plane got choked to death except him. He took control of the plane then took the device. At this time, Han finds Frank, and soon they battle each other. They are fairly equal so there are no winners. Frank then makes an offer. Billions of innocent lives are at risk. So join me to save them. Han is used to one of the best agent too, but got fucked by Frank so he became an assassin. Turn out, the guy just wants some attention from Frank. Even though he is pissed, he still gives in and help Frank. All of them then head to London. But when arriving at the Iranian ambassador, they found that all of the guards are dead, while the device is counting down. They drag the device with them, and not long, the guard notices them. The two sides then exchange fire. While the scene is chaotic, Edward captured Sarah. Everything is happening according to Edward's plan. Marvin brings the bomb out of the embassy, then they steal a helicopter to escape. Victoria and Han drive on a car chasing Edward. In front of them, there is even a couple of police cars. With Hollywood plot armor, they do very badass scene where Victoria somehow kill all the police chasing them. Over here, Frank got shot down but he is alright. He brings the bomb with him to the airport. But when he got on board, Edward is already pointing a gun at her head. He told the two of them to get off the plane along with the bomb then fly out. Not traveling far, and he already hears a ticking sound. He go ahead to check on it, and bam! The bomb is there. Frank, you dirty son of a b. Frank reveals that he hid the bomb aboard the plane and confronted Bailey with the empty case. Han angrily demands $30 million for his plane and $20 million for not killing Frank. The film ends as Sarah enjoys herself on a mission in Caracas with Frank and Marvin.